Will people actually buy this is the question that almost every indie game developer asks themselves over and over again. This is because it's impossible to know this answer before you release your game. You can have all the wishlist, coverage, and promising numbers possible before launch, but you really don't know until you actually hit that release button if your game's gonna sell. And I think it's about time that I did that. It's been well over 2 years since I started making Couch Combat, and I'm finally about to get the answer to the essential question of will this sell? I have 1 week left to complete my game, so I'll give everybody a few seconds to guess what I spent most of my time doing in this devlog. 3, 2, okay, you already know it's bug fixing. It's always bug fixing. I actually just got done with some playtesting with friends, and unfortunately the game doesn't work. Like, at all. So I got on that. It turns out that all these issues just came down to a single missed capitalization and another single line of code. I like it when solutions are simple, but it is a bit infuriating how long it took me to find these tiny issues, as well as the massive game-breaking effects that these tiny issues had. Oh yeah, and if you want to get my game, you can go on Steam and buy it now. It's available and it means a lot if you buy it. Also, it'd be super helpful if after you buy it, you could give me an honest review. You obviously don't have to, and I don't really want anybody to lie about the game, but it really helps the Steam algorithm if I have some reviews to start with. Wednesday. And today also mostly came down to several hours of bug fixing. This time, instead of single-handedly saving my game from absolute destruction, I had to slowly fix some issues in the menus of the game. For whatever reason, the UI seems to break more than anything else in this game, but still it wasn't too hard to fix. And after fixing all those menu issues, I decided to implement a few quality of life improvements to the menus. When you scroll through the menus with a gamepad, it can be a bit too fast, so I set up a system to slow it down, and I also did the same with slowing down sliders in the settings menu to allow you to select more precisely. Thursday. I really didn't have any time to work on Thursday, so let's move on to Friday. I figured that I would use this day to polish up all the content in the game. Mostly the guns, as a lot of them still have issues. I added a burst rifle in the last devlog, and so far it's been pretty great to use. It's fun and generally works, but its reload isn't quite done, so I'll get on that. It turns out that I was accidentally using the wrong animation file for the reload, and switching it out made it work, so the burst rifle was officially finished. The other gun that was just not finished before now is the Tome of Fire. The Tome of Fire shoots flaming fireballs quickly, and I started on it forever ago, but I never quite got the seeking code to work for the bullets. So I just redid the behavior of the bullet, and now it just automatically seeks other players whenever it gets close to them. Essentially, it's just exceptionally powerful aim assist. To make the Tome of Fire balanced though, it has by far the worst damage of any gun, which leads to some interesting gunfights, as the Tome of Fire player gets to focus on dodging and running around without aiming, while the other player has to quickly kill them to avoid dying. I finished by adding the Tome of Fire to the game options menu and also finally making some sounds for it. Saturday. At this point, I had a pretty good rough draft for the final version of the game, so I decided to do some more playtesting. And while I was at it, I temporarily disabled some of the UI and used the non-stretching aspect ratio. That way I could use this gameplay footage in the final trailer, and for some reason not having the UI makes the trailer look better. Luckily for me, all the bugs seemed to be fixed and I was able to play tons of rounds. So after this playtesting, I moved back to the Steam page, which just needed a few final touches. First off, I made a new icon by actually just taking the faces that I made for the players and slapping them on a blue square for a background. I also had to resize the key art for the game about 1,000,000 times for all the different Steam things. The vertical ones in particular were tricky to get right. Now that I have all that footage from the last playtest, I'm gonna put it together in the final trailer. It'll probably take all day, but I'm actually looking forward to doing it as making trailers is pretty fun. I just started off by selecting a song, and I decided to do the classic strategy of just using some public domain classical music. It's free, kind of funny, and it's easy to sync the gameplay to. So I then just planned out the general flow of the video with text. Next, I started taking some of the new footage I would need in addition to the gameplay. Since this is a 4-player game, and I'm taking all the footage as just 1 player, I had to use some sketchy methods to get some of this footage. For example, there's a quick cut at the beginning of the trailer where there's some text in the middle, as well as a bunch of players running towards the middle of a map. In order to make this, I just angled all the player spawns towards the middle and then temporarily hard-coded it so that all players constantly move forwards. And overall, I think I'm getting a bit better at trailer editing. And while my final trailer here isn't super professional, it still looks pretty good, and I think that it gives a good impression for the game. Monday. So I released the game tomorrow. I've been playtesting it basically every day, and there is essentially nothing left for me to fix. So I figured that I would instead change something that's bothering me. The third page of modifiers in the game options menu is not filled. This is an absolute crime against humanity. And I have some pretty good modifier ideas, many sourced from my audience, so I'll add 3 to fill it out. The first one was suggested by Bingus on YouTube. It's called Magnet, and it reverses all the knockback from sources like punching, guns, and explosions. It's very interesting, especially with modifiers like rubber bullets, which makes all the guns pull players towards them whenever you shoot them. Next up was In Vulcan on YouTube, as well as a similar suggestion from Green Fox on my Discord, and it was to make all guns insta-gib. Now, that is a good idea. I need some more senseless violence in my game, but I figured instead of making every bullet insta-gib, that I would make this only work of headshots, similar to games like Rainbow Six Siege. So now hitting any headshot with any weapon will instantly kill them, which is a lot easier when the Big Heads modifier is enabled. And finally, Hot Turnips, a very interesting individual on my Discord server, suggested this. Now, for some reason, I decided to change his name to Really Big Maracas. I don't remember why I did this, but now whenever any player dies and you have this modifier, all the other players are launched into the air. All these modifiers were pretty simple to implement, and I was sure to playtest after adding them to make sure they didn't ruin my game the day before release. But everything was fine. Tuesday. I was supposed to release the game today, but I made a really dumb mistake. I didn't submit my final build for review to Steam until last night. So now I'm stuck waiting for them to review the game and let me release it. And I was stuck waiting all day. This was kind of a bad deal, as I said in the last video and on Twitter that I would release the game on the 12th and I just didn't. So sorry about that. Wednesday. I woke up Wednesday and saw that I could release my game, so I did. I pressed all the fancy buttons on Steam to release my game, and it's out. So check it out if you're interested. I've been spending my time recently trying to market the game, and making a press kit and putting it on Reddit, and I'm not gonna lie, launch has gone pretty poorly so far. Hopefully that'll improve, but whatever. I'm mostly just glad to get on to something new instead of Couch Combat. Despite that, I know I still have work to do on Couch Combat, and so I'm looking for feedback. If you bought and played the game, please critique the game or give suggestions if you have any. You can do it wherever. I read all the comments on my videos, and I generally try to respond to most people on Discord. And of course, you could always review it on Steam if you feel inclined to. And if you don't plan on getting the game, then I'd be interested to hear why. I don't mind that you don't want to buy it, it's not a big deal. But it'll be interesting to hear what people want in a game like this. I'm working on a big bug fix and quality of life patch, and I'm not sure when it'll be done. But after that, I'll probably add some content in the game, and just try to tie it together and correct any mistakes that I can. Thanks for following and supporting me for these 2 years, and I'm very excited to move on to new projects in the future. Thank you to my patrons who are very cool. Bye.